Hi everyone and welcome to another painting tutorial. So today I'm going to take you through how I painted this vibrant red-orange relic blade for my Terminator Captain. So over a Mechanicus standard grey undercoat, I'm just going to begin applying some bold PYRROLE red by ACRYL. Now I only recently ordered some ACRYL paints. I probably own about maybe like 12, 14 of them at the moment. And I thought this was a really good opportunity to test these paints out. Now, I really wanted to go with a vibrant sort of red-orange sword for my Terminator Captain, just to sort of help him stand out a little bit more, and also just get a bit of practice in painting red swords, as I don't really have a great deal of experience with it. Now, I did find that for this particular red, it didn't hold its own as a really strong sort of base coat. Now, I'm not sure if there are other reds in the range for ACRYL that would make for a better base coat, as I really don't know a great deal about these paints just yet. However, after probably about 3 to 4 coats, I was able to get a really smooth sort of finish there. So just allow a decent amount of drying time between each coat, and then just apply essentially as many as you need. Just make sure that you add a reasonable amount of water to the mix as well. So with a really solid base coat of the bold PYRROLE red, I'm now going to move on to orange red, again by ACRYL. And I'm just going to begin working quartered sections. You've probably seen this countless times on various power swords that people paint. It's obviously a really popular way of sort of highlighting up on power swords, or just weapons in general, really. But this will ultimately be a really small feature of the sword. More than anything, I really just wanted to keep some of that bold PYRROLE red on the sword, as I really love the vibrancy and I love just how it looks in general. So yeah, I was trying to keep as much of that as possible. And as you can see, just working some of that orange red into the runes as well. And again, just a decent amount of water added to the mix. Obviously not too much, but just enough until it's running really smoothly. And as you can see, I've just been layering that up a couple of times. Since I'm doing such thin coats of this, it is drying relatively quickly. So as you can see, it is building up nicely though. So just really take your time with it and just build up those highlights just very gradually. Now for this next step, I actually bought these scale 75 fluorescent paints a little while ago. However, I haven't really practiced with them a great deal. And again, I really thought this was a good opportunity to do so. So I'm just going to be using some orange neon by scale 75. This is from the set. I believe it comes with 8 different fluorescent colors. I've probably only used about 2 or 3 of them from memory. But yeah, something I certainly want to implement more in my painting, just to try and get more experience playing around with them a little bit. So as you can see, I've just popped down 2 separate pools of the orange neon, and I've just taken some of that orange red by ACRYL and mixed it with the orange neon. So for the most part, really just following over the previous highlights that we did, and then of course into the runes as well. And as you can see, because of the mix, it is quite a subtle build-up. And now just working up some edge highlights as well. And as you can see, the brush isn't overloaded and just working on an angle just to get that center nice and clean. Just to mention as well, and this has been common for my my more recent tutorials, I should say. I've been using my Raphael 8404 size 3-0 brush for this. I know I've mentioned it quite a few times for people who have seen quite a few of my videos, but it's a really affordable brush and it is great quality and it does last quite a long time. So I definitely recommend checking those out. And as you can see as well, with the orange red mix with the orange neon, I'm also just adding some what are effectively sort of lightning effects, but really subtle, but we'll certainly add to those more as the tutorial goes on. And now just using some of the orange neon on its own, I'm just going to work that into the runes. Again, at this point, I was really just testing out how these neon colors would work. Well, how well they work, I should say. And by the end, I was actually really happy with how this looks, especially through the runes. It just added more intensity, especially alongside these really vibrant reds and oranges by ACRYL. Now I decided to add some Fire Dragon Bright to the orange neon mix. For the most part, I just felt like I wasn't really getting a strong enough coverage with the orange neon on its own, especially for the sort of edge highlighting. So once again, just carefully working up some of the edge highlights. So working all through the center of the blade and of course on the outside of the blade as well. So just allow a little bit of time for the paint to dry between each layer of this, but certainly go back a couple of times and just build it up gradually. And as you can see there, I did make a little bit of a mistake as the paint was sort of overlapping a bit too far into the sword. So to quickly remove that, you can just quickly lick your brush and then quickly move the paint away with the paint having been removed off your brush. Or alternatively, of course, you can wash your brush and that will certainly work as well. So I was actually really happy with how it was looking at this point, however I wanted to make it even more vibrant. So with the Fire Dragon Bright and YRIEL Yellow mix, so looking at 50-50 and add a little bit of water to that as well. Just going to be working around some edge highlights. And also just around the power node here as well. And also just a little bit through the center here, mostly where the sort of lightning or energy effect meets the center. So just allow that to overlap a little bit. And just make sure that you use the very tip of your brush for this step as well. And also just carefully work some of this mix across those lightning energy effects as well. And now just using some YRIEL yellow on its own, I'm just going to work the edges once again. So I was almost just trying to take this to be as bright as it possibly could, just to really draw a lot of attention to the sword. Now I'm just adding some Lamy and medium here, as you can see, to another pool of orange neon. And this is just to go over the runes, and I'll be doing this a couple of times. However, I'll do one application here and then move on to the next step, and then at the very end we'll go back to this mix and work that into the runes. I find, well, I have found so far with these fluorescent colors, it does take quite a few coats for you to really get that vibrancy out of it. However, it's definitely worthwhile. I did see a video a little while ago actually of someone comparing a lot of the fluorescent colors, and unfortunately, I mean, I love Scale 75 paints. I think they have some of the best, if not the best, metallics range available for miniature painting. However, for the fluorescent colors, the general consensus seems to be that unfortunately they're at the sort of lower end. So down the track, I wouldn't mind trying other fluorescent paints by different manufacturers. But for this sword, I was actually pretty happy with how the orange neon looked by the end. So now I've just added just a drop of titanium white by LIQUITEX. Again, these are paints similar to PYRROLE that I don't really have a great deal of experience working with, but again, I'd heard really good things about, and I really love this titanium white. It runs really smoothly, it has a high pigment count, and yeah, really worthwhile checking out those paints as well. But anyway, I added a little bit of that to the YRIEL yellow mix, and this is really just for the top of the blade, as you can see here. And also just some small dot highlights throughout the center of the blade. And if you want to take it a step further, you can just add some small dots on the outside of the blade, just where the energy meets the end of the blade there. And now I'm just going to apply just one final coat of that orange neon and Lamine medium mix just through the runes. And here are some photos of the completed miniature. So I hope you found this tutorial useful today. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe today if you haven't already, leave a comment below of something that you might like to see me do in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in the next one.